There is a quiet, crushing exhaustion that comes when you spend hours staring at a glowing screen, consuming thousands of fragmented moments, yet doing absolutely nothing of value. You feel your time evaporating. You feel the heavy weight of guilt settling in your chest, yet you are completely paralyzed, unable to just put the device down. You know exactly what I mean, don't you? For Elias, this paralysis was not a metaphor. It was a nightly reality. It was 2:14 a.m. The physical world around him, his small apartment, his drafting table, the quiet city outside had ceased to exist. His reality had shrunk to the 6-inch piece of glass in his hand, throwing a frantic, shifting neon glow across his tired face. Every swipe delivered a new burst of color, a new loud voice, a 3-second joke, a fleeting outrage. He did not even want to be looking at it. He was not being entertained. He was simply anesthetized. Just 3 feet away lay the blueprint for his architectural portfolio, the single project he had sworn, for the last 30 days, he would finish tonight. It was the key to leaving a job he hated. He had the ambition. He had the intellect. Yet, there was an invisible, suffocating gravity pinning him to the couch. Elias was a prisoner of cheap dopamine. His brain, bombarded by the effortless, high-speed rewards of the digital world, had completely lost the capacity to endure the slow, quiet friction of real work. Every time he looked at his drafting table, a sharp spike of anxiety hit his chest. The sheer effort required to focus felt physically painful, and so his thumb swiped again. Just one more minute, he told himself, knowing full well it was a lie. He was drowning in a shallow puddle of comfort, entirely aware that he was throwing his own future away, yet terrified of the silence that would come if he finally locked the screen. Finally, at 2:43 a.m., the screen went black. The battery had died. The sudden absence of light in the living room was jarring. Elias dragged himself up from the couch and walked over to his drafting table. The silence of the apartment was no longer peaceful. It was deafening. It pressed against his ears, demanding a level of focused presence he felt entirely unequipped to give. He sat down under the harsh glare of his desk lamp. He placed his hands on the cool, textured paper of his incomplete blueprint. This was the moment of truth, but almost instantly, an agonizing itch began to crawl beneath his skin. His brain, having just feasted on a relentless, high-speed buffet of effortless stimulation for hours, was now crashing. It screamed in protest against the stark, colorless reality of the paper in front of him. There were no flashing colors here, no instant validation, no novelties. There was only the heavy, intimidating demand for slow, deliberate thought. Elias picked up his pencil, but his hand hovered over the page, paralyzed by a profound, almost physical discomfort. The friction of starting felt insurmountable. The silence was too loud, the lines too complex. The mental effort required too exhausting. His mind desperately sought an escape hatch from the pressure of his own expectations. Just let me plug the phone in and check if the music playlist updated. A quiet, insidious voice whispered in his mind. Just 3 minutes to get the right vibe, and then I will lock in and focus. He knew it was a trap. He felt the familiar heavy stone of shame dropping into his stomach. Yet, the urge was overwhelming. His hand betrayed him, reaching out to plug in the charger, waiting for the Apple logo to appear. The moment the screen flared back to life, illuminating his defeated posture, the discomfort of the blank page vanished. It was instantly replaced by a warm, numbing wash of artificial relief. He had retreated back into the digital casino, escaping the harsh, demanding reality of his own ambition. The blueprint remained untouched in the shadows, waiting as the clock ticked closer to dawn. By 4:12 a.m., the sky outside Elias's window began to bleed a pale, unforgiving gray. The natural light crept into the living room, cutting sharply through the artificial shifting glow of his screen. It cast a long, harsh shadow over the empty drafting table. Elias looked up from his phone, his eyes burning, and caught his own reflection in the darkened window pane. He did not see a man resting. He saw a hollow, exhausted ghost. He saw a man who was actively choosing to let his own life pass him by because he was too weak to endure a little mental friction. A sudden, visceral wave of disgust washed over him. It was a heavy, suffocating realization that pierced through the digital numbness. The comfort he was desperately clinging to was not protecting him. It was burying him alive. He realized, with terrifying clarity, that if he did not break this chain right now, this single defeated night would become his week, his year, and eventually, his entire unremarkable life. With a racing heart, Elias stood up. He did not gently lock his phone or place it face down on the desk. He walked down the hall, shoved the device deep into a hallway closet drawer, and shut it with a loud, definitive crack. When he returned to the drafting table, the silence of the apartment was no longer just loud, it was agonizing. It was a physical weight pressing down on his shoulders and chest. His brain, suddenly completely starved of its cheap dopamine drip, threw a violent internal tantrum. Every muscle in his body twitched with the desperate burning urge to walk back down the hall, to just check one notification, to escape the crushing, intimidating pressure of the blank page. The psychological resistance was a thick, suffocating wall. He wanted to scream. He wanted to quit. But this time, Elias did not move. He forced himself to sit in the painful, understimulated quiet. He gripped his pencil. His hand felt like lead. The first line he drew was rigid and forced. The second was a miserable struggle. Every second felt like an hour of grinding, unrewarding labor. He was walking barefoot over broken glass in his own mind, battling his own corrupted attention span for every inch of progress. Yet, he endured it. He sat in the discomfort and let his distracted mind starve. And then, 30 agonizing minutes later, a subtle shift occurred. The frantic screaming in his mind began to quiet. The panicked urge to escape faded into a distant, manageable echo. The complex geometry of the lines on the paper started to connect. He was no longer fighting the friction. He had broken through it. The cheap, fleeting high of the screen was entirely replaced by the deep, heavy, and profound satisfaction of pure, disciplined focus. He had conquered his own mind. By the time the morning sun fully illuminated the room, washing away the shadows of the night, the blueprint was finally complete. When Elias finally set his pencil down, the frantic, neon-lit casino of his mind had burned to the ground. In its place was a profound, unshakable stillness. Looking at the intricate, completed blueprint bathed in the quiet morning light, he realized a hard, undeniable truth. He had not suddenly found motivation in that dark room. Motivation had absolutely nothing to do with it. What he had found was the willingness to endure the excruciating silence. He had simply allowed his brain to starve, to scream and thrash for the cheap, effortless lights of his phone, until it finally surrendered and remembered how to find reward in the heavy, beautiful friction of real effort. This is the invisible, exhausting war you are fighting every single day. You are not fundamentally lazy. You are not devoid of ambition or incapable of greatness. Your baseline has simply been hijacked. You are living in a world meticulously designed to offer you endless, effortless reward for doing absolutely nothing. When you sit down to study, to work, or to build your future, and you feel that immediate, agonizing urge to reach for your screen, you are not experiencing a lack of willpower. You are experiencing withdrawal. The path to the life you desperately want does not begin with a sudden, magical burst of inspiration. It begins with the painful, necessary act of unplugging. True discipline is not the absence of resistance. It is the deliberate choice to sit in the agonizing quiet and let the distracted mind starve. You must endure the miserable friction of the blank page long enough for your brain to reset. You have to let the cheap dopamine fade so that you can remember how to crave the deep, heavy, and lasting satisfaction of building something real. The next time you feel that unbearable gravity pulling you toward an easy escape, I want you to remember the quiet triumph of enduring the silence. I want you to sit in the friction just a little bit longer. If you recognized a piece of your own daily struggle in Elias's journey today, subscribe to the channel to keep building your discipline with us. We will navigate these quiet battles together. And before you leave to face the demands of your own real life, drop a comment below and tell me, what is the specific, cheap comfort you are choosing to leave behind today?